Hello everyone, and welcome back to yet another riveting episode of Buckwsr Presents Putting the Do into Do-It-Yourself. And today's Do-It-Yourself project represents a bit of a departure from the typical small engine lawnmower repair fare to which my clamoring public has become accustomed. And today we're delving in to the field of home electronics. So I have before me on my desk a somewhat vintage stereo system that I was able to pick up at a yard sale, actually at no cost at all. I got it for free. It's a SONY stereo system, the HST-221, and it's a very nice vintage set because it has the dual cassette deck at the bottom. It's got a tuner receiver for your radio, a 5-band equalizer, but it also features some other opportunities where you can plug in things like the CD player that I have sitting there on the table, a phonograph if you have one of those, even your iPod or iPhone, or your laptop computer, and get stereo sound with whatever speakers you might choose to go with. But today the issue that I want to resolve is to get the cassette deck working properly. It's not working right now. It kind of, the rollers kind of move a little bit when you push the play button, record, rewind, forward, advance. So I'm going to show you that in a little bit, but I want to start by taking off this cover, and there's 4 Phillips head screws on each side. So we'll zip them off real quick and open up this cover, and then we'll get a look into the innards of this component, because what I think is going to be the issue is the drive belts, which are really just rubber bands, are aged, stretched out, worn, and slipping as a result. And I want to see if I can figure out how to replace those. So cassettes. I like cassettes. See, when I was growing up in the 1980s, 8-tracks were kind of a thing of the past. CDs weren't happening quite yet. Vinyl was still available, but I was doing my music collections on cassettes. And even today, I enjoy going to thrift shops. You can get some very inexpensive, good music from my era on cassettes at thrift shops, yard sales, very inexpensively. A quarter, 25 cents for a cassette, or if you're lucky, a real bargain, 3 for $1. Hey, wait a minute. 25 cents is a better deal than 3 for $1. Alright, so this cover comes off, and we'll move him out of the way. And I want to bring you in for a closer look, and I'm going to do something a little bit risky. I'm going to actually plug it in and show you what happens, and we'll be able to see from here in the front, but also from down inside, what's happening. So let me plug it in and we'll take a little tour of what's going on. We've got it powered up. So here with the door open, you may be able to see in there what happens when I press the play button. Oh, that wasn't it. Play button's right here. Okay, the mechanism comes up. This little pinch and roller is spinning. If you can't see it, sorry. And this is spinning also to take up the tape onto the empty side of the cassette reel. But when I put a cassette in there, it doesn't have the muscle to keep going or to function. It sort of will rewind or fast forward. Over here on this side, kind of the same thing, like that's barely spinning. So when you take a look down here in the top, you'll see we've got our cassette mechanism here in the front down low. And it's a little bit hard to get to the 2 cassette decks because there's a circuit board right in front of it. You see where my finger is. But right below my finger is the motor. Now the motor's spinning, or otherwise we wouldn't be getting any movement at all. But it's not spinning effectively enough to run or play tapes. And it's very hard to see from here, but I'll try to give you a better view. From that motor, there's a big white pulley here and a rubber band or drive belts connected there, and then same over to here. It's really hard to access, and I don't know if I'll be able to move this circuit board out of the way. That's kind of what I'd like to do to most effectively. And down here you can maybe see the drive bands. But I'm going to try to take it apart a little bit so we can get a better look in there, and we'll be able to replace those drive belts. Now somewhere over here, here it is, I purchased a variety pack of cassette player drive belts. Just looks like a bag of rubber bands, and I got 4 or 5 different sizes in there. Bought it off of Amazon, I don't know, $5 or $10, maybe it was $8. But hopefully we're going to find the right sizes in there to restring this cassette deck. That's our goal. Alright, well, peering down in here, so this is the circuit board that's kind of in my way, and I can see that it is held in place by 2 Phillips head screws down very, very low. One right down here, another way down there. I would also mention to you, don't forget to unplug it before you go poking around down in there. I have unplugged it, so that's good. I'm going to use one of these Phillips head screwdrivers that are at a 90-degree angle. These things that are almost entirely useless until such a time as you have no other option. With one of these angled Phillips head screwdrivers, I'm going to try to take out those 2 screws, and I think by doing that, plus these 2 tabs here at the top, which should come out just by squeezing, I'll be able to move this circuit board out of the way and have a much easier access for changing the belts. So let me give that a shot, and there probably is no real good way to allow you to have much of a view of it, and I expect it to be a tad bit tedious getting these out, but once I do that, if I'm able to do so, it should be an easy job to change those belts. Okay, so started it. So I'm going to work on that off camera because it's just a tedious, uninteresting part of the job, and then I'll come back and we'll work on those belts together. Okay, so it's a little bit of work, but I got out the 2 screws that hold this circuit board in at the bottom. The one on this side is very hard to access, and I probably will not get that one to go back in. It's going to be impossible. I also removed these 2 clips, tabs that were connecting the board here at the top. That was fairly easy with a pair of needle nose pliers. Now I'm going to try to just move this circuit board a little bit out of the way. That's probably all I can do, right? It's probably as far as I can get it because of the wires and cables that are attached. But this certainly gives me a much clearer access to the belts right down in here. Alright, so this one here on top should be easy to come off. Alright, so we'll save him as a reference for the size. Over here is the same style belt. It's that guy. So there's 2 of those, and then the other one appeared. I think the other one is actually, is it 2 belts or 1 off of the main pulley here? Might be two individual belts. It's a little bit hard to see. Yeah, that's two belts. So the inner one is on the right side, so we'll have to get him off first. And some kind of picking or prying tool might be helpful. Okay, so he comes off of there. And then we'll have to put these new ones on in the reverse order of which we took them off. So now I just have to get it off of the small pulley off on the shaft of the motor. Okay, that's that guy. And then, last but not least, this guy, and he'll be the first one we replace. Because what you got on that shaft of this motor, pulley with two notches. So I think the main culprit was these guys. These are the main ones that connect to the motor, and these are probably stretched out. So our next step will be to open up our packet of new belts right there and sort of match up ones here that are close in size, or maybe just a tad smaller, so that they don't slip on the pulley. Well, here I have lined up the old ones on the left with the new belts I've chosen on the right. And I do observe that the original ones appear to be just a sort of a thicker than the new ones do, but they are of course a whole handful of years old. So I'm going to try these, and hopefully we've got the right sizes chosen and it'll work for us. Alright, so let's try to get these belts on. Now, unfortunately, probably all you're going to be able to see is the back of my arm. It's just the nature of this work in tight spaces. So I have a friend who suggested get a paper clip and straighten it out, and then put a little hook on the end. That'll be good for pulling, and then make another one bent in such a way for pushing, and tools like that might help you. So I'm going to try that and see if I can get these belts on. Alright, I've got the innermost bands that connect to the motor, so it's now just these last two, which I think are a little easier to get in. Okay, so that's that guy. Okay, so that guy's on. Now everything seems to be spinning together. That's great. Alright, so now it's just a matter of putting this all back together and carefully, and see about maybe getting lucky that we fixed it. Alright, well, I've plugged it back in and I'm going to give it a shot. So hopefully be able to see here. Alright, that seems to be moving as it should. Fast forward, rewind. See how it all looks back in here. Everything seems to be spinning as it is designed. That feels pretty good. That works pretty good. Alright, so let's put it back together, connect the speakers, and see if we'll play a cassette together. Well, here's the big moment. We got a cassette in there. Here we go. Play button. And do we have sound? Sounds like it's moving correctly. What do you know? Well, okay. That's pretty good. Rewinds, great. I think I need to clean those heads. Sounds kind of dirty. But we have succeeded. So that feels pretty good. I'm going to clean the head there and capstan, pinch and roller, see if we can get the sound a little cleaner, but I think we're back in business. I'd love to hear your thoughts, and your comments are always welcome. This isn't my specialty. Probably a lot of ways that I could have done it better, but semi-successful. What do you think? Thanks for watching, and Buckwsr will see you on the next video. Bye-bye.